Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, fellas, welcome into the Opening Bell Season 1, Episode 3 right now. We're going to be breaking down the Jock market that's starting up in about 35 minutes, potentially even 30 minutes, depending on when it closes. We have the live updating prices behind us, and we got a couple people already hopping up in the chat. It's going to be interesting right now. Had to put the blocking light glasses on because we've been up in front of these screens, a couple of streams, a couple of videos today, closing it out with the big old fellas in the Jock market. I'm excited for this. Not every day. I was traveling this weekend, so I didn't get to play really any DFS for the most part, single entries on DraftKings, but excited to be playing in the Jock market today. I'm in there right now waiting in the weeds, just trying to get what we got going on. So, Jock market, if you want to use the code SAL20, you can play along with the Fantasy Sports Stock Exchange, the premier fantasy sports stock exchange in the space. Some of the best, I would say the best customer service that I've been seeing out on the Twitter spheres for these fantasy sports stock exchange sites. Hands down, hands in the air like you just don't care. Now put them down if you know what I'm saying. Jock Market, SAL20. Use that code SAL20. They'll give you a nice little $20 bonus upon that first deposit of yours. But they also have free contests, so we're going to be tracking the salaries. They're updating behind me on the screen right now. We'll be tracking salaries, and as we go through it, I'll be updating you on prices. I'll be updating you on just some things that are interesting in terms of where these players have been recently in terms of their form, where some guys are right now, my specific ranks up top. So just to look at what we're currently seeing up top in the Jock market, we have some premier players tonight, right? So you're going to miss, it's going to be a 5-game slate. Originally 7-game slates. Jock markets takes out that first lock, so we have a little bit more time between some other sites and focus on Jock market. So just 5 games, which is nice. It's a nice, concise slate, which means that those studs up top are even more valuable than ever before. So see some people hopping up in the chat. We'll get to you guys in a second, and you girls. So, yeah, your Jokic's, your Giannis's, your LeBrons, right? These guys up top are going to be even more valuable than ever before. We're not going to have our Westbrooks or our Beals on this type of a slate. But Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler is out. Some big news today. Jimmy Butler has been ruled out today. Somebody to be keeping a very close eye on. Unfortunately, we won't get to take advantage of John Morant without some guys out there, but Bam Adebayo is somebody that I'm paying very close attention to. Bam Adebayo is somebody that I expect to get a good amount of because Bam Adebayo is live to be one of the top 2 or 3 highest scoring players in the slate today. It's tough when Giannis and Jokic are on the slate and LeBron without AD, but Bam is maybe going to sell outside the top 5, and I don't think that he should right now. So I think that the way that the slate sets up, my current projections for the Jock market in terms of my ranks are Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, that's currently where they're priced. Number 4 for me is Bam Adebayo. Number 5 is Julius Randle. So Bam Adebayo currently at that $5.50 price point is massively underpriced. I think Kawhi is slightly underpriced to start off the day. I think Paul George is majorly underpriced to start off the day. In terms of where his pre-rank was. He's now up to $7.19, so maybe even coming in a little bit more appropriately priced. So Bam, massively underpriced. We can take now some of the chat questions as we go through this. That is where my current ranks land. My current ranks land at Jokic, Giannis, LeBron in terms of where I have them projected to finish today. Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, Bam, Julius Randle, Kawhi, Trae Young 7, 8 Paul George. Then we have 9 Jason Tatum, and number 10 is going to be one Mr. Demar Derozan. So those are my top 10 right now. I see some people up in the chat. I appreciate people being in here. If you're curious as to what we're doing right now, we're discussing Jock Market. It is its own specific site. I know a lot of people in here play DraftKings or Super Draft or bet on sports in my following. This is specifically for Jock Market. It is a stock market exchange for fantasy sports players, and it's based on their scoring. So I'm very bullish on this type of a market. We got our nice, we got the nice little button up under here, sophistication with the glasses as we approach the market to try and get return on investment for all you ladies and gentlemen and fellas out there, including myself, right? Put all you first, though. So let's start asking some questions because I think this is going to be very, very interesting. I think this is going to be very, very interesting to be discussing through today. I appreciate the people that are in here. A 5-game slate in the past we've had, I believe, the last week we might have had like a 7-game slate, so a little bit bigger. So it was a little bit easier to get some value in the mid-range. I think we can identify some as we go through it. The Jock market likely going to be closing somewhere within the next half an hour. Stephen Murphy was in here at 5 o'clock. Granted, it's 7 o'clock right now. In here at 5 o'clock. I'm sure he just hopped in and hopped out. And he said it's 5 o'clock somewhere. That is damn true. Reed Johnson says, anybody know if it's possible to play the free games in Jock market in states that don't allow sports gambling? I would say I don't know. I don't know if Dave is watching this or somebody wants to hop in the chat that knows that. I fortunately have been in states that are free when I play and when I was testing out the free games, so I actually do not know that. I know on other sites that if you play the free games, it is legal to play just the free games in there as long as you're not wagering money or putting any money. You basically just can't withdraw like on sports betting sites and things like that. You can play free games and any free game modes that they have. You can make some free, fun parlays for like credits and things like that on other sites. Just can't be real money. So I would assume yes, but I actually don't know the exact answer for you on that, just because I haven't had to face that being in a legal state. Brian Beaver says, what's up, Sal? Opening bell today, power hour tomorrow. I love me some Jock Market content. My man Brian Beaver in here. Yeah, we got the power hour tomorrow for Jock Market with Rick and Joe over there in the golf streets. A very nice event this week. We've been hot in the golf streets on this channel, my man. 3 of the last 4 winners and outrights. We had last week Morikawa, home of the week before that. And then Brooks Super Bowl week. It's been very nice. What do you think is going to be at the top of the IPO today? How much? Yeah, Brian, I do think that both Jokic and Giannis are probably going to find themselves somewhere around $16. I think they'll find themselves around $16. I basically have them as coin flips. I have Jokic right now in converted points, somewhere around like 60 points, and I currently have Giannis right around like 59.7. So I have them as coin flips right now. I expect them to both go around $16 today. I would be okay paying that price for them. I have them both projected for almost 10 points more than anybody else, and that's even including LeBron. LeBron's obviously right now massively underpriced at a 3.13 IPO. That's clearly going to be changing. So as these next 30 minutes go on, so that's somebody that I'm going to be looking to fire some shots on. Is guys like LeBron, but mainly looking at what's going to be happening with Bam Adebayo's price as we go along here. Yo, chat, Derrick Rose or Hero tonight. So if I had to pick one of those guys tonight in terms of overall points upside, if I had to pick one of those guys, you asking me Rose or Hero, not none, right? So between Rose and Hero, I will probably end up going with Derrick Rose. I'll go with Derrick Rose. I currently have Derrick Rose projected out for about a point more. Let's see where they're at in the Jock market. Let's see where Rose and Hero. So Hero's currently selling at $3.33 per share. I think that's almost appropriate. I think he'll probably get to where he should be. If we want to look at where Derrick Rose is at, Derrick Rose in the Jock market $4.88. So at their current prices, I'd rather pay for Hero where it currently stands in the Jock market. But I think it's not that far off. Like current prices, I'd rather pay for Hero. I like Derrick Rose more, but I think he's a little bit too expensive for me at this point. I think that he's slightly underpriced, but given the fact that we have like another 25 minutes or so until the market closes, I think he's going to be slightly overpriced. As we keep going down, more people in the chat. I'm having a hard time with Bane versus Tillman today. Yeah, so unfortunately, neither of them are in the Jock market. So I prefer Tillman's talent more. Bane is starting, but I mean, he's going to get less usage because of that with John Morant. But that is the 7 o'clock game if people are wondering. But yeah, I prefer Tillman's talent more just from a scoring standpoint. I really need to win. I'm broke. My pockets are hurting bad on this losing streak on FanDuel. Well, hop onto the Jock market, man. Hop onto the Jock market to where right now you can check it out. It's linked down below in the description. I could post a link also in the chat, but you can get $20 when you sign up, and they have free contests. So it's just a nice format because, yeah, like if you're somebody who doesn't have more bankroll left this month, right, because you play in other DFS sites or you use it on sports gambling or just in general, you don't really have much of a bankroll, you can get this nice sweat from somewhere where you can win. I mean, daily they have $50 up top in very small contests. Because it's a newer app, it's not thousands of people in these contests yet, right? These free markets. They're naturally smaller fields, so your odds of winning and placing and turning literally $0 buy-ins into something is going to be higher and higher than ever. So you can check that out. Let me actually move myself on this. I think that yeah, I'm floating a little bit too low. There we go. Get myself. Yeah, there we go. So Jokic is going to get more points than Giannis. I have Jokic for like 0.3 more points than Giannis on Jock market tonight. So it is so close. I think that Jokic consistently will find himself getting more points than Giannis, but these guys are like 1A, 1B this year. Normally it's been Giannis in the past, but this year Jokic is clearly having like an MVP caliber season, right? He's up there with Giannis. He's up there with, LeBron to a lesser extent. He's up there with Embiid at this point. Like Jokic has just been, he's more reliable from a minute standpoint. From point per minute production, he's going to average around 1.65 fantasy points per minute tonight. And then you're going to get Giannis averaging closer to like 1.7. So you can see right here like where I have these guys ranked. So if I zoom in on my personal stuff right now, so if we go over to where Jokic is, Jokic I have projecting out for 1.65 fantasy points per minute tonight at 36 minutes. His ability to play 38 minutes, though, is a little bit higher. And then if you want to go down to somebody like a Giannis from Milwaukee, I currently have Giannis projecting out for 1.67 at 35 minutes. So I have Giannis as the better point per minute producer, just barely tonight, but I have him for one less minute than Jokic. So that's kind of where that's coming from in terms of why I have Jokic for more. I'm basically projecting Jokic for a minute more because maybe he doesn't play that tonight, but because historically and just on the entire season this year, yeah, Giannis is playing bigger minutes than normal, not 30, 32 anymore. He's playing more than normal at this point. He's averaging 34 per game. But, Jokic this year, compared to the Giannis 34 per game, I assume Jokic is averaging 35 and a half, somewhere around there. Let's see. 35.9, so 36. So that's where that's mainly coming from. Let's check in on the prices. So my preferred option tonight would be Jokic over Giannis, and right now Jokic is cheaper than Giannis. I'm still waiting to fire my bullets tonight. So I don't have anybody in the jock market yet, but I'm very actively looking at Bam Adebayo, who's still only sitting there at $6. I think that is very appealing. I'm going to be curious to see what he starts to spike up to, because that is way too cheap. If you're curious as to why Bam Adebayo is becoming more interesting, he is my 4th highest projected player tonight. He's right after LeBron for me, ahead of Trey, ahead of Randall, ahead of Kawhi, because Jimmy Butler got ruled out. So Jimmy Butler is now ruled out, and on the season, Bam Adebayo with no Jimmy Butler is going to start to average like 1.3 plus fantasy points per minute, which is obviously very, very appealing. Very, very, very appealing. So we got 2 games starting at 7:30. That's when lock is going to be kicking off today. Right now we got news that Keldon Johnson is going to be on a minutes limit off the bench. We already are taking account for that in our projections, so nothing different there. We got news of the Heat starting rotation. Dragix, Nunn, Robinson, Olynyk, and Adebayo. Interesting that we're not seeing Hero in that starting rotation. Could be something to monitor, as we have news that Alfred Payton is out. Hero is not starting. That is interesting to see. So we'll have to see what ends up happening there with no Hero in the starting rotation. Definitely something that I'm going to be wanting to track on the back end of what's happening here. Alrighty, let's see what we got going on. Why not buy shares of both Rose and Hero? I think you can. Well, Hero's coming off the bench now, so this is going to be some. I don't know. I don't think this happened last time out. I don't think Hero came off the bench last time out. I mean, Nunn's been playing very well lately, so they're keeping Nunn in because he's playing well lately. They're giving Goran Dragix to start, who's normally their 6th man. It's interesting to see that Hero is coming off the bench. I want to see this last game to see. They beat Atlanta by 10 on the 28th of February. Hero came off the bench in that game. Okay, so that's good. All right. I just wanted to make sure. So Hero came off the bench. Dragix started in that game. Very interesting. Butler also missed that game. So very similar rotation. Yeah, I actually missed that going through that. Interesting. Very interesting. Cool. So nothing major changes there. Nothing major changes there. What do we got in the chat right now? So why not buy shares of both Hero and Nut Rose? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what the price points are right now on Hero and Rose. They're just kind of players that are there, right? Like Rose, I think actually has somewhat of a ceiling because he's playing minutes now. Hero, he's still very shooting reliant. Hero's priced at 333. That's fine. That's fine. Like right now, it's okay. Rose at 488. They're just both fine. I don't think you're going to see like a massive upside overall in that. So, yeah, I'm probably going to stay away from Hero. I'm still kind of looking. So, let me look at some other options that we can find and just snag out. It's pretty crazy. Like, for those of you that are watching this right now, like, there's really probably no content going out from the jock market side of things, in my opinion, especially not right now. So, like, there's a lot of upside getting some sort of analysis. So I appreciate all of you being here. Let me know if you have any other questions in the chat right now. We can go through them. We got a question. So Jokic is going to be the more points than Giannis. Yeah, barely. Nothing crazy. But if the prices, I have Jokic for more points and the prices are a little bit different right now. So right now I prefer Jokic over Giannis. I'll be tracking that. LeBron's only at 450. I don't know if that's because on Jock Market there's a game time decision next to him, but he was ruled probable. So I don't think that game time decision is correct, wherever they're pulling that from. Let me just double check on the LeBron game time decision call. I believe he's probable. I believe the latest news on LeBron James was last night because they ruled out Marc Gasol, their latest injury update, but they didn't give anything there. So yeah, LeBron is probable today. So I think we're getting a nice, interesting thing here where LeBron is currently sitting at 450 at my 3rd highest projected player. He's up to $5 now, just recently bumped up. But that's actually... That probably shouldn't be the case by any means. LeBron should be selling for at least $10 plus, especially if Randall's at $10 already. So LeBron game time decision next to him. He's probable, so don't fall for that, I guess you can say. I like LeBron today. He's clearly going to go up in price. Giannis is already at $14 per share. I would assume that Giannis and Jokic start to sell around 16. I said earlier, maybe $16.50 each. So I'm surprised to see right now that that's where LeBron is. He's going to come up as we approach. Basically, I mean, we're at like potentially less than 20 minutes until the market closes, and LeBron James is still $5 per share. I think this is going to change, but man, if it's not, then the 20 plus people that are watching this and the people that have been tuning in, you're gonna have a lot of upside there. Would you buy shares of Kawhi tonight? Yeah. So the thing about Kawhi is he's already kind of there, right? Like Kawhi, his ceiling can get you there. Kawhi's been playing bigger minutes as of late. Kawhi currently sitting at $9 per share. I have Kawhi projected for 47.1 points tonight. So Kawhi at 47.1 points tonight. Yeah, I mean, 88. I think that's a pretty decent shot. Kawhi currently is in the jock market, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's my 6th highest projected player. So at $9 per share, yeah, I think at $9 you can buy some shares. I don't think much over like 11 or 12 will get you there, though. I think that's where I'm currently at on him. Let's actually look at Kawhi. Let's see what Kawhi's like recent numbers have been. So we can pull up Kawhi Leonard. He is now on the screen. So this is Kawhi's recent returns for you. So if you're looking right now, his most recent return, he got you about 53%. After that, he ended up losing 45%. In some of these, there's some blowouts going on in there as well. 21%. So he's actually a pretty consistent, gaining 21% ROI. I just got outbid on LeBron, I believe, in the Jock market. Is that what I just got told? Yes, just got outbid on LeBron James. So LeBron James already shooting up pretty quickly there, as clearly was a mistake. So Kawhi, a pretty consistent producer based on where he's bought. Most recent prices, he's selling for $8.51. He's selling for at $9.25 per share. You can see right here, right next to my head. So he's kind of selling right now for where he's normally been selling. He's okay, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. LeBron has now been spiked upwards. He's already selling for $7 per share as we approach potentially the last 15 to 17-ish minutes of the Jock market tonight. LeBron, I do think, is somebody that's worth getting in on, because right now, even if you pay $10 per share for LeBron, he just has to finish 11th or better on a 6-game slate, right? Or actually on a 5-game slate for Jock market. So literally only 10 teams. He has to finish 11th or better. So he just has to be half decent tonight. So that price on LeBron is going to go up. It's interesting to see Jokic and Giannis in these price ranges, because they might start to hit like $18 or $19 a share, because on this type of a slate, there's not much guys that can beat them out. We're getting a little bit of a price up for Bam here. Let's start to scroll down for maybe some potential value plays and see if anybody. Jimmy Butler is out, so just keep that in mind. Let's see if there's anybody else in the Jock market tonight that we can find. Do you have any interest in Harrell, says Brian Beaver? Yeah, so Harrell, there's no Marc Gasol today. Harrell's come up into my price point right now. Harrell's currently selling at $4.31. Harrell, for me and my projections, I'm currently projecting him for about 30. I have him at 29 and change fantasy points tonight. Harrell, for me, grades out as a top 30 play. So let's see where Harrell currently sells at his break-even point at 431 in the marketplace. And maybe we'll go buy some shares. He's up to 450 now. So if you buy Harrell at $5 per share, he has to finish 26th. That's kind of like where it's starting to get a little bit close for me. I think that I currently have Harrell, if I take out the guys who play already earlier, around like my 28th play. So where he's currently selling, I like it. If he starts to sell at like that break even of $7, I think that's a little bit too high. But I'll snag some shares at $5 per share. I assume that's going to go upwards. So good find on Harrell. I think that's interesting. We can maybe find some like breakout potential players down in this range. Like a Monty Moore selling at $1 per share. He's going to play 30 plus minutes again, right? They don't have anybody out there. He just played, I have him projected for 33 minutes today. I think that Monty Morris offers, just a load of upside. At $1 per share, you literally can't go much further down than that. Technically you can't at all right now. So snagging, Monty Morris, I don't expect him to be a top 5 scorer by any means, but for him to outproduce $1 per share, and maybe even he starts to sell at $2.50 per share, I'll take that quick 2x buy-in, especially if you're somebody out there that only has a smaller bankroll to work with. So Monty Morris still at $1 per share. Yeah, I think starting to throw some shares or bids on him at some cheaper price points, I think that makes a lot of sense for a guy that's going to play 32 minutes, who is a decent 0.85 fantasy point per minute producer when it comes to basketball. We have Luminary Lee, a new patron in the chat. I saw he was in the earlier NBA chat. He says, hey, Sal, about the NBA patron for the Optimizer. Do you know if there will ever be an option for FanDuel salary cap of $60K? Yeah, so right now the Optimizer is DraftKings only. We actually just ran out the beta last week on that. We're adding stuff literally by the day. Like today, we just pushed an update for randomness, and we just pushed an update for uniques. So uniques are labeled correctly. Randomness has been added to the optimizer. The goal is to add Superdraft next, and then potentially FanDuel. I personally don't play FanDuel at all, so I don't have projections for that to offer to automatically load in. But the goal would be to start to support as many as possible. But it's a slow process. I'm dealing with a Patreon where he basically built the optimizer. I'm trying to bring it to the people, bring it to the marketplace for him. And I think that this is working out pretty well. So yeah, eventually is what the answer is to that for sure. I like Bam too, because Jock Market takes away 0.5 points for missed field goals, and Bam has a high field goal percentage. Yeah, not only does Bam have a high field goal percentage, but he has a high effective field goal rate. So obviously Bam, any centers are always going to be, even Montrezl Harrell to this extent, they're always going to be a little bit more appealing, because what you get out of centers is closer to the rim, right? Like most good shooters shoot like 55, 60% true shooting, like great shooters. But all centers basically shoot 60 to 65% effective field goal rates, true shooting percentage, because they're shooting 2 feet away from the basket. So there's just inherent upside. That's why like Jokic and Giannis, a guy who primarily finishes at the basket, is going to be up there. Right now, Bam Adebayo this season shooting 63.4% effective field goal rate. Like, it's just so hard to be losing a lot of points compared to some other guys, compared to guys who are going to be strictly shooters for you. So yeah, big men are going to be normally a little bit more secure, if you will. Jokic this year, 65.2% true shooting, right? Like, it's just so easy for these guys to not lose points in the Jock market. So right now we're approaching in on around 7:13. The market closes randomly between 7:25 and 7:30 tonight. Let's see if we have any other major injury news to be reporting on for tonight's games. No major injury news. We're just seeing that Fred VanVleet and Siakam and Pascal in the future will not be playing until after the All-Star break. There's only 2 more games until that, so 1 more game for that team, I believe. So yeah, we're getting some more lineups. The Hawks will start their main guys. Snell starting again. Makes sense. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. My current shares I have ownership of LeBron, Harrell, and Monty Moore with about 15 or so minutes until this bad boy is going to be locking up tonight. Sal, would you like Dragix or none more in DK? I mean, how do you choose between these two guys? I think Dragix has more upside. He's a higher ceiling player. If you're talking about like the salary prices, so they're both starting, but Dragix is going to get the point guard and assist percentage usage a little bit more. He's just a better usage player. He's a better overall player. Dragix right now in the Jock market is only selling at $3.62. That is massively underpriced. Let's see what Nunn is right now. Nunn's $4.20. That's appropriately priced. So Goran Dragic right now is somebody that I actually want to be getting some shares of in the Jock market. So Goran Dragic, he has Goran Dragic has very rare triple-double upside. I believe Dragic actually, this Miami team, so yeah, I'm going to grab some Dragix. Goran Dragic he has massive upside. He actually has triple-double upside, right? Like Goran Dragic is a decent rebounding guard. We know he will score. We know he will drive. He will pull up. He's good at all that. He assists. Kendrick Nunn doesn't have that same upside. Kendrick Nunn has that upside when he's playing 35 to 40 minutes. Goran Dragic has that upside if he plays 28 minutes. So, even if they have similar projections, around 30 points apiece for me right now, Dragic just has massive upside, like insane upside. He'll usually drop 1 or 2 triple-doubles a year, so for sure. Jakob Poeltl is a sleeper, Sal, trust me. I think Jakob Poeltl's fine, yeah. Aldridge is out. I don't really know how much of a sleeper he is. There's just so much. There's just so much when it comes to, like, let's pull up Jakob Poeltl. Selling for $4.50. He's also a center, so he shoots closer to the basket. You don't have to worry as much about missing shots and losing points in that regard. Yeah, I mean, you have no Aldridge today. You have Keldon Johnson playing limited off the bench. You just have, I mean, Drew Eubanks is the direct backup, and most of you probably don't know who Drew Eubanks is today. So I think that is going to be fine. You get a 61.3% effective field goal rate for Jakob Poeltl, where he's currently selling at $4.50. Yeah, I think that if you there's some meat on the bone there, if you will, to be getting some shares of him. So no issues at all with going to Jakob Poeltl. I'm going to try and pick up some Goran Dragic, so hopefully Goran Dragic pops the hell off, gets his triple-double, finishes as first overall, so that we can clip this bad boy and put it out there in the future on the Twitter sphere. So we just got some shares there. My mustache smells like trout, somebody says. There you go. Clean that thing, my man. Dylan Brooks right now. Dylan Brooks is going to be interesting from a DraftKings perspective. Memphis is not on this slate, unfortunately. Also, I mean, speaking of Brooks, but Brook Lopez, $1 right now per share. Brook Lopez, $1.02. That is way too good to pass up. This is a guy playing 30-plus minutes consistently in closer games like I expect tonight against Denver. I expect some pretty close games there. A guy who normally will take a little bit more shots in a game like this, facing a guy like Nikola Jokic, where they'll be out of the paint some more. So Brook Lopez for me, I mean, Brook Lopez also has a ceiling. Does he get there often? No, but does he have a 40, 45-point ceiling? Maybe even higher than that? Yeah, so I'm going to snag some shares of Brook Lopez as well right now. Let's get some shares of Mr. Brookie. What do you think of Paul, Booker, or Ayton against the Lakers? Could they sneak to the top of the Jock market board today? So I think that Paul and Booker have the ceiling to sneak there. I think that Ayton has the most consistency to outscore his price because of that center position. So actually, first of all, before I talk out of the side of my mouth, Ayton, yeah, I think he has consistency to outscore his price. Chris Paul, I think, is currently underpriced. Devin Booker, the problem is just the way the game slows down. So Devin Booker in the paid-for market tonight. Again, if you're watching this right now live, you want to test out Jock Market for the first time, code in the description below. Jock Market, you could use the code SAL20. There's a link down below to download the app. It's a fantasy sports stock exchange. The market is going to close between 8 and 12 minutes, so be sure to get in there. We can discuss my shares once we get in there as well. Right now, I'm just like holding steady on some shares of one player, but we can kind of track this as we go. But yeah, right now I don't have any interest in Devin Booker at $7 per share. Look, there's an issue when Devin Booker plays alongside Chris Paul. He averages like a fantasy point per minute, and Chris Paul's averaging like 1.15 because Chris Paul takes all the assists. Chris Paul slows the game down, so less overall possessions for this team. It really hurts Devin Booker. Booker right now, in my opinion, yes, he has a ceiling, but right now he's currently going overpriced. Paul's slightly underpriced. It's just when all three of these guys are playing, there's not a lot of meat left on the bone. Yeah, sometimes Chris Paul will get 18 assists, and of course he'll outproduce his score. Sometimes Booker will hit 8 of his 9 threes instead of 4 of his 9, right? And he'll outproduce his score. But for the most part, I'm not there. I would rank those guys tonight as Ayton, Paul, and Booker in that order for me. Any love for Markieff Morris for extended minutes? Cheaper than Harrell, right? So I'm going to like Harrell in the Jock market tonight. Markieff Morris, probably not somebody I touch. He's selling at $1.99. I mean, he's already appropriately priced. when it comes to Jock Market. When it comes to other DFS sites, I would still prefer Harrell just playing at center. Markieff Morris is fine. Like power forward, you're going to get probably Ivan for 22 minutes today. I know he's had like 1 or 2 games here or there when he goes off and gets you a couple rebounds and blocks. So, yeah, I'd rather prefer Harrell. Obviously, he's cheaper, but still prefer Harrell. Bam Adebayo is now up to $9.25 per share. I think Bam is still too underpriced. I mean, even if you pay $10, he just has finished as a top 5 player tonight or a top 10 player tonight. So I think he's still slightly underpriced. We're approaching that like 5 to 10 minute mark in the Jock Market. We have Stephen Murphy is asking, what about Justice Winslow and Bertans tonight? So Justice Winslow, Bertans is not going to be in the Jock Market tonight. Washington's not on this slate, and neither is Justice Winslow. Out of those two guys, though, I think Bertans on other sites is a little bit overpriced. I think that Winslow is a fine value, especially now that Kyle Anderson is also out. No Grayson Allen, no Kyle Anderson for Memphis tonight. It's going to offer a good amount of value. So as we continue to look through a little bit more here, any low-end cherry picking options we can get all the way down below. Not really anything down here. I mean, Obi Toppin, not going to lie, I have Obi Toppin tonight, the New York Knicks #1 first-round pick. I have him for 20 minutes, the most that he would have really been playing all year, right around that number. You're not going to get much there. You're hoping to like 2x your money if he gets $2 per share up to. Bogdan Bogdanovic is back, but on a minutes limit. Keldon Johnson off the bench on a minutes limit. So really nothing down here stands out. I would say that if anything, Obi Toppin just to try and slim pick some things off the bottom. But that's if you're just looking for all the way at the bottom. Going up a little bit more now, interesting to see some guys down in this range not picking up any love. I mean, it makes some sense. Kendrick Nunn already overpriced in my opinion. Tyler Hero overpriced, especially coming off the bench. Brook Lopez still cheap, $2.29. If you want somebody for on the cheap, even if you're playing in the free market, Brook Lopez might just be your guy. I'm getting news that up top we're getting some big changes for guys like LeBron James. So LeBron is now $10 per share, as he should be. LeBron should probably start to rival this $12 and $15 per share number that you're seeing in some of these other players. LeBron is just clearly, in my opinion, just way too underpriced even at $10 per share. So I had full disclosure a bid on him at $10 per share, and that just got matched. I've already been outbid at $11 per share, so it seems like your boy can't even get any shares of LeBron when he's trying to. So we're going to have to go into maybe a little bit of a bidding war. We got 7 shares of LeBron right now. He's at $11. Trae Young has now hit $10 plus per share. I think you're going to start to see these guys up here in these final 5 minutes or so, Jokic and Giannis. They're going to really start to skyrocket. I think they both start to hit $16 plus. I think Giannis or LeBron will close somewhere around 14, 15. Kawhi is fair at this point, $9.29. Bam is all the way up to 10 now. Damn, we're starting to lose some of our shares in the Jock Market. No good. DeMar DeRozan is somebody who I might actually start to get to for a guy who can drop for 50 points. So the Jock Market is starting to become a little bit tighter. I'm going to wait until we get to around the 724 mark to go anywhere. Any value in Lonnie Walker, big minutes. So Lonnie Walker right now, I mean, I prefer Patty Mills. I prefer Lonnie Walker over Trey Lyles. The price point's coming up on other sites at $2.25 in the Jock Market. Yeah, I think he's okay right now. If that starts to hit $3, then you're probably at a break even at that point. The break even on Lonnie Walker right now is $3.35. Let's see where Lonnie Walker has currently been in terms of ROI. So obviously last time out he was huge, right? He was absolutely huge. He only sold at $2 per share. Look at Lonnie Walker last time out on Jock Market, almost 200%. You almost 2x your money. Now obviously in games before that it's not as true of a picture because all these other guys weren't out, but not bad. That was the second time this year you saw Lonnie Walker 2x your money a couple weeks back as well, 199. Pretty crazy. So this is the amount that you got ROI-wise, either positive or negative by playing Lonnie Walker at certain prices. Yeah, I mean, when Lonnie Walker is basically selling out there for nothing, he can be upside, especially because tonight, Keldon Johnson has returned, so it'll come into some guys' minutes. I don't think that'll affect Lonnie Walker as much, though. So looking up towards the top now, LeBron's still at $11 per share here. We're updating about every 30 seconds on the screen behind me. The most recent prices on the app is LeBron's still at 11. Both Jokic now and Giannis are at 15 or so per share. We'll be tracking that. Any love? So Horton, Tucker, Caruso, and Beverly. Any of those guys? Really, not really. Like I would rank it Beverly, Caruso, and Horton Tucker just based on where minute security comes from. Like Horton Tucker losing a ton of minutes right now to some other guys, mainly the main option being Markieff Morris, who's playing in the 20s in minutes these last couple of games. So that's where your downside is going to be coming from, Horton Tucker. If you're still watching right now, hit the like and subscribe, do all those things. Every Tuesday night we have the opening bell show. Tomorrow night for Jock Market, that will be not on this channel, but Rick Run Good, Rick Gaiman's YouTube channel for the Power Hour with Joe Torpix himself and Rick Run Good. That is Rick Gaiman. We're about to be hitting... So between 725 and 730 is when the market closes. I'm still looking at this price on LeBron. He's just $11.22. That's too cheap. Bam at $10 is also too cheap in my opinion. I've now lost my shares of both of these men. So we're gonna have to just kind of siphon through here and try and get some shares. Let's Let's see what happens if we try and place a $12.50 or just a $12 wager on LeBron. That means he has to finish 7th or higher for it to pay off for us. So let's get some shares of LeBron and then let's get some shares of Bam Adebayo, and then we can kind of track what happens for the final couple of minutes and basically track what the shares are that I get. People that are watching right now live can track what they're getting and share in the chat, and we can go through some of that stuff. We can check some of the bid and asking prices and go from there. Bam Adebayo is still, for me, a very strong option of where he's currently selling. Bam Adebayo, I currently have ranked as my 4th player in the market, and he's currently selling that he just has to finish 10th overall, which is clearly a lot of value for you. So he's currently selling as if he has to finish 10th overall. I currently have him as my 4th overall player in the market. We're getting some updates on price. LeBron now approaching $12 here as we are approaching potentially the final, anywhere from the final 1 minute to 5 minutes of the Jock market. It closes randomly between 7:25 and 7:30. This is where the money's made. Let's get it. This is where things start to get frisky. So these prices are going to currently change until the market closes. Let's identify some players right now. I currently still have shares of LeBron. I currently still have shares of Bam Adebayo. We were waiting, though, because these shares potentially could dissipate any second now. Other guys who are currently just screaming out value at their current price points. I think you're getting some built-in value because of the injury. He was questionable today, then he was ruled in. Jaylen Brown, you're getting some nice built-in mid-range value. I think you're probably overpaying for most of these other guys down here. Derrick Rose is now appropriately priced. We talked about him earlier. I think you're overpaying for guys like Dennis Schroeder. Goran Dragix appropriately priced at this point. I think there's still value in Will Barton playing big minutes. Will Barton is currently shooting like 12 to 13 times per game with all these other guys out. Paul Millsap, Michael Green, Gary Harris until after the All-Star break. So I think there's a lot of upside and meat on the bone, if you will, for a guy like Will Barton at 330. We're getting an update on prices right now in the Jock market. I just lost my shares of LeBron. That is no bueno. LeBron now up to $12 per share, meaning that he has to finish top 6 or better. It's starting to get to the point for LeBron where I might be out on LeBron. Let's see what happens if he finishes at a $13 per share number. So I might be out on LeBron. I'm going to put one more wager in. It's 7:25. The market will close randomly within the next 5 minutes. If you're sweating just like me out there, let me know in the chat if you even have the seconds. Otherwise, wait until this market closes. So we currently have some shares of LeBron. We currently have some shares of Bam Adebayo. That's kind of it. These are some heavy hitters, some expensive guys, so we're trying to link up there. Looking at the rest of the market now, you have up top. So we thought that both Jokic and Giannis would close at 16. That was the guess about 30 minutes ago, at least on my end. Maybe they get to 16.50 or 17, depending on when the market closes. They can close right now at 16, or the market can close in 4 minutes, and these guys can get up to like 17, 17.50, maybe even 18 if a bidding war was to start on these guys. LeBron, underpriced. Julius Randle, in my opinion, overpriced. Trae Young, in my opinion, has a ceiling to easily not be overpriced, can easily finish as a number 1 scorer, but $11, in my opinion, slightly overpriced right now. Clint Capella, fine. Kawhi, fine. Bam Adebayo, underpriced right now, in my opinion. We are currently getting news that I just lost out on some shares of Mr. Bam Adebayo as I was just talking about him. We hope the market does not close as we try to refill these shares. And it seems that the market might be closing on my head top. That would be no bueno. That'd be no bueno. We're getting a bunch of news right now that everything is changing in the Jock market. Alerts left and right. We're trying to get updates. We got some shares of Bam Adebayo back. We're trying to get some updates of LeBron James back right now. All right, we just lost shares on Bam Adebayo again. This is a bidding war going on right now. We have a massive bidding war. So I got my shares back of LeBron and Bam Adebayo. Just close the market. Close the market, Jock. Come on. I got some shares of LeBron. I got some shares of Bam Adebayo. LeBron now up to $13 per share. That is appropriate. It's still not overpriced. Bam Adebayo now up to $11 per share. Also appropriate for this 5-game slate with no Jimmy Butler. I just want this market to close. IPO ends soon. The IPO will randomly close between sometime in the next 3 minutes. Updated prices. Giannis is now the most expensive player at $17.25. I'm not out on Giannis, like I personally am, but I wouldn't run away from it. But with Jokic and LeBron just being cheaper than him at this point, I think I would slowly start to gravitate away from that. Other guys who in this middle range might be cheaper. Everybody's starting to fill up for appropriate price. You'll always find value in the bottom end. Always find some guys like a Danilo Gallinari with some upside. Brook Lopez still underpriced in the market. Montrezl Harrell ends up still being underpriced with just seconds left if you want to snag him. Still like Monty Morris and Will Barton, those Denver guys picking up more minutes as of late. But up top we're approaching now the final potential minute to minute and a half of the Jock market. Maybe even 2 minutes, and I'm just waiting to see if my shares get stolen, and then I'm sitting here left with the bag and the getaway car, but none of the money. The IPO is closed. Whew. We secured our shares of LeBron. So I've got right now 5 shares of LeBron at $13 per share, and I currently have 5 shares of Bam at $11.50 per share. So whatever that adds up to, we got like $130, $140 in the Jock market tonight. So the Jock market is now officially closed. We'll wait for the bid and asks. We can go through where some guys finished off in their price points, and then we can go through anybody in the chat that might have specific questions about, or even just wants to share some of their exposures. But that was fun. The Jock market closing is always something that is very, I would say, fun to kind of track and watch. Also, if you're watching this, 5 minutes ago, Derrick Rose just got ruled out for health and safety protocols. So never like to see that. Never like to see that happening last second, right? So Derrick Rose getting ruled out 5 minutes ago for health and safety protocols. That game doesn't start, I believe, until 8:30. But clearly unideal. Not ideal by any means. Wowza. So let's see what happens once we get these official at 7:30, some of this stuff officially moving up. So Derrick Rose being out, who benefits from that? So if you're somebody who got lucky enough, or maybe you want to, hopefully you want to sell Derrick Rose, maybe they'll give you a little bit of a recap. So let's see. Derrick Rose got ruled out moments ago. Never great. This is the beast of the NBA. So Derrick Rose, if you ended up getting shares of Derrick Rose, who somebody in the chat earlier was talking about him, he sold for $5.59 per share. I'm not sure. I assume Jock Market will refund these people, but they've done that pretty much every time in the past. But if not, man, that's the belly of the beast in the NBA. Anybody get shares in the chat of Derrick Rose? Not great. I personally did not, so unfortunately was able to avoid that landmine of Derrick Rose. What do you think, Sal? I got 20 shares of Giannis, 30 shares of Chris Paul, 20 shares of Dragix, and 30 shares of Monty Moore. So Giannis has to finish, what, top two today? Top two today for that to pay off for you? I think that's fine. I don't really have a stance on the Giannis. Chris Paul I thought was slightly underpriced. I think that's okay. I really like the shares of Dragix. I like the upside there, and I really like the 30 shares of Monty Morris, especially at a lower price point. Somebody said I got Bam and Bron as well as DeRozan and a bit of Jokic. Nice. You got all the guys. Yeah, I got some Bam and Bron. So I got some Bam and Bron up top is what Mr. Thomas Brown was just mentioning to me. Yeah, I like that. You clearly got a lot of upside there. So with Bam and Bron, my number 3 and 4 projected players today, they basically both sold as like LeBron has to finish 6th overall. Bam has to finish like 8th overall. So this was a really good night in the Jock market if you were paying attention to injury news like Jimmy Butler and in ways to kind of take advantage of that. So shout out everybody in here right now who was able to probably do that, right? Probably take advantage of some of this late injury news. I'll have to be updating in a second just what's happening with Derrick Rose. So let's look at some of these finalized prices. We can go through this. So yet again, I ended up with shares of LeBron and Bam. Nobody else. I tried to get shares of Montrezl Harrell. Didn't end up working out. Tried to get shares of Goran Dragic. Got to a point where I didn't really want him anymore. And that was kind of that. I got the guys that I mainly wanted, which were LeBron, who started off so late in his pricing. Mainly getting shares of LeBron and mainly getting shares of Bam and Adebayo. So the final pricings right now, Giannis ends up pricing out as the number 1 play. So you can see right here where they ended up pricing themselves. This is who basically sold at the highest price right here. So Giannis sold for more than Jokic. So I had it the other way around, but kind of a coin flip. I'd prefer Jokic for the cheaper price. LeBron 3rd. 4th for me was Clint Capella. So he's all the way down here. So you have Randall selling a little bit higher than I think he should. Clearly nothing wrong with Randall. Really high effective field goal rate close to the basket. Randall selling a little bit higher than he should at that point. Trae Young, no real stands. Capella, no real stands, right? Let's see if there's anybody who was, Dejante Murray kind of underpriced at $8 per share, $7.95 to be exact. I would assume that Dejante Murray probably tonight has to finish somewhere around, I'm trying to do the quick math in my head. I assume that his break even, if he finishes, 15th, 16th for you overall, for a guy who right now is going out there with nobody on this team healthy, with nobody out there. Demar Derozan came back, but he's going out and playing 33, 34 minutes, averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute. All the assist percentage, increased rebounding rate without any Aldridge, and just in general as a strong rebounding guard. Yeah, if you got shares with Dejante Murray tonight, I won't say I overlooked that one, but like going down to the wire, I didn't kind of realize how cheap he was, especially for a 5-game slate. Murray finishes like top 15, you're probably making money tonight, which is pretty appealing. Going down more, no Jimmy Butler tonight, of course. I think Paul George was okay at $9 per share. No strong stance. Somebody said they got Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul at $8 per share right now. Chris Paul, obviously, the assist percentage can skyrocket him, but just in general, a guy who's going to grade out for mid to upper 30s in Jock market points. So, yeah, I like that. Anything else stand out? Jacopo, fine, some value there. Somebody says no Derrick Rose. Yeah, no Derrick Rose today. He got ruled out about 5 minutes ago. The next game doesn't start, I believe, until that game at 8:30, so I'll be updating Derrick Rose shortly after the stream in about 5 minutes or so. But the NBA schedule, we had 1 game at 7, 2 at 7:30, which just locked in officially locking the Jock market. That Knicks game starts at 8:30, so we'll be updating it. Murray is a stud, says Fantasy Stock Exchange. What's going on, Fantasy Stock Exchange? Yeah. Dejante Murray is a stud. Dejante Murray is an interesting character because you saw last year Dejante Murray ended up going out there, and I mean basically like Dejante Murray was a guy who like Pop was limiting. Like you would, it's very much similar to like an Emmanuel Quickly this year, like how LaMelo Ball started off the season this year. These guys were being limited. Quickly still limited, but LaMelo Ball is like the guy's playing 20, 24 minutes. Just let this guy shine. Now he's playing 38 minutes, right? And that's what happened all year long with Dejante Murray last year. So Dejante Murray was playing like, you were lucky to get the game to 26 to 28 minutes out of him, right? He's playing 24 minutes and playing fantastic. Man, that opened up this year. They kind of came into the year saying like Dejante's not going to be limited, and he wasn't. And he's like been one of the only guys who's avoided COVID and stayed healthy this year. So he's just consistently night in and night out, 34 to 35, 32 to 34 minutes, upside on those minutes as well. Strong rebounding rate, strong point per minute production. Yeah, I mean Dejante Murray right now so far this season with no Aldridge on the court, averaging a 24% usage rate, 34% from three, 20% defensive rebounding rate as a guard, 20%, and a 23% assist percentage. Knicks value after Derrick Rose tonight. Yeah, I'm going to update that on Patreon and in the optimizer since there's no games at 8, and I mean, there's no games until the next game starts. I'll update that in a couple of minutes. Good sir. We'll update that shortly. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Anybody else want to share their Jock market pricing? Yeah, I think there's clear value here. Chris Paul's clear value there. Dejante Murray, some clear value. Value on LeBron and even Kawhi, you can say yes. Bam and Abayu. So value up top all over the place tonight. Middleton, maybe slightly underpriced, but fine. In this next tier, I do think Goran Dragix is upside warrants him to be, even though he might be appropriately priced at $6, his upside, like Goran Dragic's ceiling is way higher than RJ Barrett. It's way higher than Dennis Schroeder. Clearly, Derrick Rose now out. It's higher than him, right? Higher probably than a Drew Holiday on a minutes limit still. Higher than a Kevin Huerter, not even close. And that's why he's selling for more than these guys, but like being pre-ranked there, obviously because Jimmy Butler was officially in when this Jock market rankings came out, or it wasn't yet ruled out is the better way to say that. But man, this guy's way underpriced. Crazy usage. Always love to see that. Yeah, for Dejante. Yeah, 24%. Yeah, it's pretty good usage. It's just crazy when you like see some other guys. Like 24% usage for Dejante compares to like Demar Derozan leads the team at 26.5%, which is strong usage numbers. But then you go to some other teams. Like, I mean, it depends on like some of these really insane usage players. Like if you wanted to go like to LA with the Lakers, for instance, and like go to LeBron James, you'll start to see like LeBron with no Anthony Davis in the court. LeBron actually tries to spread the ball around. So this isn't even going to be like the best scenario because he's usually somebody who likes to play off ball a lot more, especially unless it's in crunch time. But 33.5% usage. I mean, you want to go to Giannis just on the season this year. Giannis is like a 35% usage rate player just on the season so far this season. It's just nuts. So yeah, so this is where the Jock market ended up closing out up top right here. That is where our salaries ended up topping off for all you. It's interesting. We'll see next week. And in the weeks, we were supposed to have a co-host for this show. That ended up falling through, but we'll keep going. We'll keep trying to find a nice little co-host for these NBA Jock market shows, the opening bell. Sal, what's up? Hope you're having a great day. Luis, my man Luis, just hops in. A good fella. Just hops in. Good fellas in the chat tonight. Yeah, gang, I think we're going to bounce. Julius Randle, better now with no D Rose. Yeah, I mean, you're going to take off an over fantasy point per minute producer, a higher usage player. Yeah, he is definitely better. Quickly's better. Alec Burks is now better. I'll update those things momentarily. What about buying some Quickly shares at $5 to $6 since Rose is out? Risky, but might work. Yeah, so Quickly has like the high ceiling. I do think that the minutes will increase on Quickly, but he's never a guy who'll get you 30, 28 minutes. Like I think Alec Burks' minutes will become a little bit more stable. Austin Rivers will come into the rotation and steal some minutes. Obviously, Quickly is going to get more minutes. So at $5 to $6, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it at $5 to $6. I actually thought about that right away. It's just, if you can get it for like $5 to $5.50, if it's like $6 to $7, I wouldn't do it. But $5 to like $6 is sure. Let's see where Quickly is currently selling in their most recent. So Quickly is his most recent bid was $4.50. I mean, yeah, his most recent ask. I mean, I would try and go get some Quickly. His most recent ask was $5.40. I mean, Quickly is going to skyrocket now. Like he's going to project for like 26 minutes now. Quickly in 26 minutes is going to start to project for like I can do my updated projections right now. I assume Quickly is going to start to project for me like 28 to 29 fantasy points, which is with the ceiling on top of that. $5.40 is underpriced. Quickly should probably be like around like a $6.50 player now. So obviously with a ceiling, he can go much higher than that. I think it's worth it if you can get a nice low $5 price point. Get that current ask of $5.40 that's out there in the market. I don't think that's a bad idea. Yeah, I think this live trading upside is pretty nice. This is what's nice about Jock Market. When injuries like this happen last second, you can take advantage of some stuff where people don't know just kind of what they have in their hands. Now, obviously, Randall looks like a much better play on all platforms. Randall starts to approach that 50-plus point projection range for me. I had Derrick Rose at, I believe, 28, or I had him at 30 minutes and over 31 fantasy points. So that's clearly changing now. It'll help guys like RJ Barrett, but it's mainly going to be helping guys off the bench quickly. It also helped Nerlens Noel, whose overall point per minute production is going to go up a little bit. Nerlens Noel now is going to become a yes for me. So even Nerlens Noel, let's see what Nerlens Noel is, because, yeah, Derrick Rose does rebound, but he also just takes away usage. So Nerlens Noel now is selling at a $6.15. Whew. I'd prefer Quickly over Noel, but both of those guys are close right now based on their price points. But Quickly just being cheaper is going to be the guy that I end up getting to more. What does Alec Burks rise to? Alec Burks right now in the marketplace, he's just fine. He's not really something that I need to get to. His minutes are also unstable because Reggie Bullock can easily just pick up like 30 minutes tonight, and then that kind of ruins a lot of things. Good work today, Sal. Good luck tonight. See you next week. Yeah, for sure. Buy Randall and Podol shares. Yeah, I think buying some Randall shares makes some sense. He's already kind of priced at a spot, though, where it's tough to get to him. I honestly think that buying Obi Toppin shares even got a little bit better now. I think that buying Obi Toppin shares, if he plays 20, 22 minutes now, just a ton more usage. Cousin Sal, would you go Quickly, Middleton, or PG3 and Duncan Robinson? Quickly and Middleton. Bron or Jokic tonight? I would go with Jokic. In the Jock Market, I got shares of Bron. But let's look at some of these other Knicks, and then we can close this out. So, yeah, I would say that currently the move would be to go buy some live shares of Quickly and then Noel. I would put Randall third after that if you're trying to buy some live shares tonight. So I would go Quickly, Noel, and then Randall in that order right now in preference on the good old Jock Market. Also a guy like Austin Rivers is going to hop into the rotation and actually become something. So, like, if Austin Rivers is selling still for like $1 per share, let's see if he's even in the Jock Market tonight. I don't even think he's in the Jock Market tonight. Yeah, it's only 80 guys. So Rivers would have been a guy that if he was like $1, I would have put like $1.20 on, $1.10 on to try and see if we can get some more shares there. But yeah, interesting. So that is it. We got some first time in the 3 weeks, which is kind of surprising. Tuesday is usually a slower day, just a 5-game slate today for the Jock Market. But first time that we got some like late breaking news that actually affected the Jock Market minutes before. And now also in the post-market afterwards, it's affecting the market as well. So that's kind of cool to see. So Derrick Rose is out. We're updating that on Patreon now. I don't know if anybody has asked you yet, but have you gotten into NBA Top Shot? NBA Top Shot, like a week ago, they reached out. They gave me a pack to give away and a pack to keep. In the pack to give away, we gave away like a $250 card and a couple of $40, $50 cards. I opened up my packs. They were worth like $400, and I just sold them all immediately. They were like shit players. So, yeah, I mean, I can give you the same spiel as everybody else on the internet. Yeah, NFTs, I buy them. I'm literally trying to buy a CryptoPunk right now. I think there's a lot of upside in the NFT streets, but there's no doubt in my mind that people paying for the 7th guy or 8th guy off the bench for $1,000 right now are going to lose all their money. That's just a fact. Guys that are going to be out of the league, I don't even care if they're Season 1 guys. Yes, if you have Series 1, Series 2, these cool moments, these rare moments of rookies, these rare moments of studs, yeah, they're probably going to be worth something. But the guy who's going to be out of the league in a year or 2 years or in 6 months, or even in 3 years, 4 years, that's not going to be an all-star. That's not going to ever do anything but be the 8th man off the bench that is currently selling for like $300, $400, $500. Yeah, that's going to be a nice way to lose your money. Top Shot's crazy, though. Some good shit. All right, we're updating for Derrick Rose being out right now. Alrighty. Updated on Patreon for Derrick Rose out. That is the most recent news that we have. Expected to play as Dario Saric. So, yeah, cool. Enjoyed the live stream, brother. Great insight as always. Hoping my Lakers take the Suns out. There you go, Fantasy Stock Exchange. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody. Peace out. Enjoyed being with you for these past 54 minutes or so. This is the Season 1, Episode 3 of the Opening Bell, the Jock Market breakdown of the NBA markets. Thank you, everybody. We got some nice value tonight. Some people in the chat. Brian Beaver, if you're still in here, I don't think you are. You said you were bouncing. Best of luck to you and everybody else that stayed into the streams. Updates for tomorrow morning, another NBA video for DraftKings, FanDuel, that type of stuff, or Super Draft in the morning. In the afternoon, 1 p.m., I'll be doing a live. Joe Val is so bad. Not true. Not even close to true. At 1 p.m. East Coast time, I will be doing a live stream with Dylan Bird for the PGA event tomorrow. And then also tomorrow night at 4:30 p.m. East Coast time, or I guess late afternoon, another live NBA stream. Tomorrow I'll also be posting the 1 minute. We're back with This Week in Sports, or Today in Sports 1 minute joke clips, comedy and sports clips. That'll be posted on all my social media accounts. So we're coming back at you firing with that tomorrow. Later in the week, some more NBA. MMA content comes out Monday for this massive UFC 259 event. We now have an optimizer for PGA, MMA, NBA, all that type of stuff on our Patreon down below. So be sure to check all that out. Be sure to check out all the tools down below, all the promotions for Jock Market down below, and also some free advice and some downloadables for advice on NBA DFS and DFS in general. Peace out, gang. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, and I'll see you tomorrow with more content.